Hello and welcome. Can a story in pictures bring about real change? In the case of the demonstrations in Iran, the video of a young woman by the name of Neda being shot and killed has become a rallying cry. In fact, it's the pictures taken by ordinary citizens on the street that has marked what many see to be a turning point in Iran's history. The story of everyday people is something that can often touch the emotions more dramatically than the political scenario. Or more importantly, they can become the link between those living in conflict zones and trouble spots and those who have moved away and watch events unfold through expatriate eyes. On today's show, we look at the impact of stories such as the killing of 27-year-old Neda Sultan and ask, after scenes such as these, can Iran ever turn back? Remember, you can join our conversation with your questions and comments. Log on to livestation.com/AJE, enter the chat room and take part. We also welcome your phone calls on the show. Well, for a perspective from Iranians who live outside the country but are closely watching these historic events unfold, I'm joined by Sheree Aghadashloo, who was nominated for an Oscar for her performance in the Hollywood production House of Sand and Fog and became a household name through the popular American television series 24. Through an ironic twist of fate, she's just made a dramatic and haunting movie about the stoning of an innocent Iranian woman based on a true story from 2 decades ago.
Today I am old, 100 years older than yesterday. But I know right from wrong. What happened here yesterday was wrong.
Yesterday.
The devil himself visited this town. And Allah, the merciful, know it. God willing, inshallah, you will know it too.
Sheree Aghadashloo, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you for joining us.
Likewise, thanks ever so much for having me.
Listen, I want to ask you, what we saw just there was a scene from your new movie, The Stoning of Soraya M., where your character, Zahra, takes significant personal risk to speak with a foreign journalist to reveal the story of her niece who was falsely accused, sentenced and then stoned to death. It's a very haunting story based on a true story. Let me ask you, what drew you to be part of this controversial movie?
I had seen a real one on tape that was smuggled out of Iran early 90s, I should say, and I watched it on tape, and it took an hour and a half and made me not to sleep properly. Yes, the real stoning that was filmed inside a sack. They put the camera inside a sack and filmed the entire thing. It was horrible, it was horrific, it was barbaric, and I couldn't sleep properly, I couldn't eat properly for days. And since then, I was wondering who, when, how we were going to shed light on this. As a matter of fact, when the director, Cyrus Noreste, called and told me about the subject matter, first thing I told him was, where were you for the last few years? He took a long pause and he said, why? I said, I've seen a real one on tape. I'll do it by all means, but let me read it first, because I'm very meticulous with my material. I need to read them a few times before accepting them.
Now, of course, the timing of this movie is ironic, as I was saying earlier, because it comes at a time in Iran's history and where there's so much turmoil, and many are questioning the system there. Of course, the shooting of Neda Agha Sultan was has made something of a rallying cry, her death. And I wonder, when you look at the story of Soraya, the media is very much controlled, obviously, in Iran, or there's an attempt to control it as much as possible. Yeah. I mean, will her story ever be something that's remembered? How will she be remembered, do you think?
It's just amazing how this timeless film has now turned into a timely film. As a matter of fact, the premiere of the film was on Saturday, so was a huge demonstration by Federal Building out in the Westwood area, very close to where the film was premiered at. And we had to go through the demonstration in order to be able to get to the theater. A friend of mine turned to me, looked at me and said, "Oh my God, the film starts here." And it shook me. She was absolutely right, because what the film suggests, change, reform, basic rights for women, is out there now. All those, and the irony is killing me here. Zahra, my character, tells her story, the injustices that went on in that village and had her niece stoned. Zahra tells her story to a reporter, and the reporter tells the world. And in fact, every time I get to talk to a reporter or a prominent show host like yourself, I feel that I'm still carrying Zahra's wish, telling you so you would tell the world. Now, it's all Zahras, not just one or two, including Mr. Mousavi's wife, whose name is Zahra, are running out on the streets of Iran, bare hand, asking for their rights, shouting for their rights, shouting for transparency and law. And this is something incredible. It is not only a great acting experience, but also a great social political experience that one can have in life.
Now,
and I'm going through it now, and I'm so happy about this.
Of
and
course.
sad at the same time, because we see all these pictures, and of course Neda now is a great example of what has been happening inside Iran for the last 30 years. We kept telling people, but nobody believed us. Like our film, when it was shown in Toronto Film Festival, some of the audience would come to us and tell us, oh, we thought this happens in biblical time, had no idea that it happens nowadays.
Now,
so it's the same thing. And
yeah. Now it's interesting because when we deal with a controversial story like this, there are those who are going to be critical of it, and there are those who have said that the movie tends to show a negative stereotype of Iran and Iranians. It perpetuates that negative stereotype. How do you balance the need to inform people about something that is unjust and something that is, that's so unfair, and yet balance it with trying to make sure that you promote the country in such a way that the positive aspects of the society are also put forward?
Right now, as we're speaking, another group is on death row waiting to be stoned. At the end of the day, when I think about that very woman who is sitting in her cell alone, thinking about herself being stoned, I'd rather go with the woman rather than my Iranian image or my Middle Eastern image. Or rather than brooming all the dirt under the carpet, I'd rather bring it out, talk about it, shed light on it, and do something about it. And I'm sure you've heard the good news that as of yesterday, Monday morning, the head of judiciary in Iran, Mr. Shahrukhi, announced that stoning will be banned from Iran's penal code.
Right. Now, you left Iran in just as the 1979 revolution was starting and taking place, and you never got to go back after that. Now, I wonder, when you look at what's going on in Iran now, I know you've said that it's basically unfinished business from 30 years ago. What do you mean by that?
I've been in constant contact with Iran, with my friends, with my peers, family. When I left Iran for two good reasons. First, I wanted to get myself educated. I couldn't speak a word of English except a couple of pleasantry words, such as, the weather is good, what is your name, my name is. So I needed to first get myself educated and then find out what's going on and how I can help my people, rather than staying in Iran, going around, and trying to find an outlet. I first went to England, got myself educated in England, and then came to US, found my safe haven in US, and started a social political commentary on Jam Jam TV, a Persian TV that was broadcast in LA, from LA, every Sunday noon at 1 o'clock. And I did it for 12 years for free. And the reason I keep saying that I did it for free is because I want you to know how much I care and still care about what is going on to Iranians inside Iran, not only abroad.
It's interesting because, of course, a misconception in the West is about the women in Iran, who, of course, are generally well educated, very intelligent, very articulate, and of course, very active in many things. And that seems to have come out in this sort of demonstrations and protests that are taking place. How do you regard the role that women are playing now?
I am ever so proud of them. No matter what, for the last 30 years, they've always been on the forefront of this war to obtain their freedom, their freedom of speech, and they've done this since the beginning. I remember when I was still in Iran at the time of turmoil, there was a huge demonstration at Baharistan Square, and 80% of them were women. Later on, the protest or the rally was blamed on Margaret Store, the company that carries cosmetics for women. They wanted to degrade the demonstration, of course, but they've always been there. They've always been on the forefront. And it is very much, now we're finding out minute by minute, that it is very much a women-driven movement. And they come literally barehanded to not only defend themselves, but also defend others. There was this amazing picture, which I love and adore. The picture has been taken a few days ago in Iran. There are four men with clubs. They're running away. They're afraid of this person who's coming towards them, and this person is just a woman who's properly covered with chador. Only her hand is out, and she's going like this, like, I am going to get you. The four are running with the clubs, and underneath the picture it says, here comes the upper hand.
Well, of course, Sheree, we're going to be following what's going on. I thank you very much for participating and giving us your perspective on this. It's good to have you on the show.
It is a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. We've got to take a short break now. When we come back, we'll get a perspective from Iranian-American actor and comedian Maz Jobrani. As we pause, let me remind you, you can join the conversation with your questions and comments. Log on to livestation.com and enter the chat room. You'll see the debate taking place in there, and we'll be right back.